So next up is Sam Keck, the Employer Services Liaison with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement, or Child Support Services, I should say, um, who will be providing information about electronic income withholding orders.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so she said, my name is Sam Keck. I'm with the Office of Child Support Services, recently rebranded from the Office of Child Support Enforcement. So I'll probably mess that up a few times here as we move through the presentation. But we have a couple different electronic resources for employers to try and make your lives a little bit easier. And I'm going to kind of walk through them here today. Right. So we're going to talk about EIWO, its sister program, eNIMSN, and the OCSS Child Support Portal. And I think I only have a few minutes here, so I'm going to kind of move quickly. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions after I'm finished. And I would also going to give some contact information out at the end of the presentation. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you after the presentation if you want specific information. Okay, so what is EIWO? EIWO, up to this point in time, has been a server-to-server file transfer service. So you would give us access to your secure server, your SFTP server. That's just short for secure server, basically. And we would go in and we pick up files from every state agency, and then we would parse those files out and drop them off on your server, the ones that belong to you. And then you would respond to those orders with acknowledgments. So you would accept or reject the orders, accept being you're going to implement the order, and then or rejection being you're not going to implement the order. And you would just give a reason why if you reject it. I don't know who this employee is, or they terminated last week. And that information would go back to the state agency. And it just gets payments to families quicker. It just speeds up the whole process of income withholding, right? Because you don't have to get an income withholding order to a random address that was reported to new hire 5 years ago, which was a worksite address, and then have that shipped to the payroll office, or you work from home and you don't have to go in to get those orders, on Monday or whatever have you. So it just speeds the whole process up, and it allows you to communicate back to the state agencies. As someone asked earlier, you can report terminations and you can report lump sums through EIWO through that acknowledgement process in what's called an employer-initiated acknowledgement. So if you get an income withholding order today, and then 3 months from now, after you've already accepted the order, the employee terminates, you would send what's called an employer-initiated acknowledgement, which is a termination notification to the state agency, and you would do that through that secure server. You can kind of think of a secure server as a shared drive on your computer. Factors to consider, and don't take those factors. Those are mostly factors about which option you want to select. So don't think that you have to get a whole bunch of orders to participate in the EIWO. You might want to think about how many orders you're getting if you want to do a system-to-system option, which is going to be a coded file. A file like that will cut out any sort of manual work because your payroll system will be able to automatically ingest the file, but it will be more of an upfront IT investment for your organization, right? Because you'll no longer be getting copies of the order. You'll be getting an XML file, which is a coded file. So you just need to think about, how much IT resources do I have available to me at that time before I start this? Do I want to just go the no programming option, or do I want to do the system option? So these are just factors to consider. We had a question in chat about we will get IWOs from all states if we offer EIWO, and that is correct. Yes, every state and territory is on EIWO except for the Virgin Islands. So even if you get an order in Puerto Rico, that will still come to you. Okay, so implementation options. There are currently 2, but there will soon be a third, which I'm going to cover next. The first 2 require a secure server to be hosted by your organization, an SFTP server. So for the system-to-system option, that's going to be a way more in-depth option. This is going to be for employers who are receiving a large number of income withholding orders and want to cut out the manual work required for when you get the order and you input it into whatever payroll software you're using. And to do that, you're going to get a coded file, like a flat text file or an XML file, and then we expect those acknowledgments to come back in that same coded format. And that is our most IT heavy option, but it will also cut out manual work for your organization. The no programming option is much, much lighter. It's just when you receive an image ready copy of the order you are receiving. So it'll be just a PDF copy of the order you're receiving, and then a PDF acknowledgement or an Excel acknowledgement. And then you would send that back. And all that's required there is simply just to host an SFTP server for us to connect to. And then you're ready to go. So that one takes very short amount of time to stand up. And then there's a third option we're developing for people who don't have access to the secure server, which is EIWO Online. And later on in the presentation, I'm going to be talking about our Office of Child Support Services portal, which is a portal that employers can utilize currently. We're adding an EIWO option onto that portal, which should be launching here in a couple of weeks, actually, where you don't need to have a secure server, where you can enroll through that portal and you'll get an email notification that you have an order, and you would just log into the portal and download it directly from the portal and respond using that acknowledgement template through the portal as well. This is definitely our easiest option as far as IT investment. If there is no IT investment, you don't need to do anything on your side besides register for our portal. You must download the order within 3 days, or it will be returned back to the state and a paper order will be sent. Okay. So if you are looking for more information about EIWO, we have a website online, and then feel free to reach out to me after this, and I would happily talk to you more about it. Just a little sample from our EIWO site. So I'm going to move on to our eNIMSN program. So eNIMSN is a sister program to EIWO that functions much the same. However, it is quite a bit newer. So EIWO has been around for 15 years. It's hooked up to every state agency. eNIMSN is going to be 1 year off its pilot here in a few months. So it's quite a bit newer. And not every state agency is hooked up to eNIMSN. A lot of states are still in the programming phase to do that. So right now, we still only have a handful of states that are programmed for it, including a couple that were in our pilot program, but more and more are coming on as we go. And I would encourage you, especially if you are already signed up for EIWO, to consider enrolling in eNIMSN. The more employers that enroll in eNIMSN, the more likely states are to come online faster, right? Because it helps them cut down their postage as well and justify the cost of programming for it. So eNIMSN is very, very similar to EIWO. Instead of getting the 12-page packet for the National Medical Support Notice, instead you'll be getting a PDF, and you could respond to that National Medical Support Notice through this program as well. However, it is a little bit more complicated given that there can be another party involved, right? So you have your state agency, you have the employer, and then you might also have a plan administrator. So we would definitely encourage you to try and get the plan administrator on, but we can also just send you a copy of the National Medical Support Notice. You can still send Part B to your plan administrator and have them send that back to the state agency, and then you would just respond with Part A. So the same options for EIWO apply to eNIMSN as well. There is a coded option for if you want to respond via XML or flat text. If you are considering an option, I would really encourage you to reach out to us, because with National Medical Support Notice, it's 12 pages instead of 4, and with that come a lot more data elements. So this is a little bit of a bigger ask as far as project size. So it's just important to start that conversation as early as possible. No programming is the exact same burden as EIWO. It just requires that you host an SFTP server and we will drop off PDF copies of your order. And you can upload responses from there. So once again, if you already have if you already are using EIWO with us, you would just need to create a new directory and we could start dropping orders off in there. But the same requirements for EIWO apply to eNIMSs. You do have to have that SFTP server. So that SFTP or FTPS server is required. Adobe Reader version 10 or higher with JavaScript is also required to be able to fill out those Adobe PDF forms. Denise FileZilla is a SFTP solution, so yes, you can use FileZilla. And then you would just register using the profile form that we would send to you. And you can register. So when you register for either of these applications, you don't need to send in a profile form for every single federal employer identification number that your company is using. You can use just one, and then we'll take as many subsidiaries underneath that one as you want. After that, we'll test connection to your server. Once we've successfully verified that we can connect to your secure server, we'll start exchanging test files. Once we go through a round of test files, you're ready to start receiving them. It's very, very simple, very easy. It'll take a couple weeks. Yeah, so we have another website out there for eNIMSs, just like EIWO, with a lot of good information on it and our contact information. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. Okay. So, and the last electronic application we have for employers is the OCSS child support portal. And you can do quite a few things to the child support portal. The first one being this employer information status. This is probably the biggest thing that you could do through the portal. It's going to let you verify the addresses that we have for you through new hire and quarterly wage. And you can take a look at the list of addresses that have been submitted for your organization for new hire and quarterly wage and pare it down to one address, essentially, and send that address to all the different state agencies. That is a pretty big complaint we found over the years, is why are orders going all over the place? A lot of times it's because of where new hire and quarterly wage reports, what address they have listed on them. And so you can kind of correct that list and say, hey, this is a weird address for us. We don't know where this came from. Stop using this address. And then we can verify your payroll address where you want orders to go and send that to state agencies. I've got a question about emailing orders. I just want to again caution emailing income withholding orders because they do contain full social security numbers, dates of birth, things like that. Very sensitive information. If you're going to email it, you need to do so with care. Make sure that it is a secure email. But I don't believe it's expressly prohibited. You can also update contact information. Payroll contact, if you want them to contact someone else for your national medical support notice, if you want state agencies to send national medical support notices to a separate address from your payroll address. All of these things can be updated in the portal, and then that update gets pushed out to state agencies. You can also add things like supplemental information, including even if you offer health insurance, which is a big one for states to know, so they know whether or not to send that national medical support notice, things like that. You can also report lump sums through the portal. So this is another big one for employers because you are going to get an immediate response on those lump sums. So if you go out to our portal and you have 100 employees to report, you can upload a spreadsheet of those 100 employees, and then the next day you would get a response for all 100 employees about whether or not you need to continue to hold the lump sum. So we will compare the list of employees to what's called the debtor file, which is just a file of all non-custodial parents that owe arrearages. And if they're not on that list, then we'll tell you to go ahead, you can go ahead and release the funds. Or if you need to, or if we forwarded that list to the state agency. So let's say 50 people have arrears and 50 people don't. We would come back and say these 50 people do not have an arrearage, and these 50 people have been forwarded to the state of New York so that New York can respond to you with whether or not they want you to withhold monies. And if you only have 5 people and you don't feel like uploading a spreadsheet, you can do it one by one, and that response is instantaneous. So if you're getting a one-time safety bonus or one-time end of the year bonus to a particular employee, and you want an immediate response, you can just put their information into the child support portal and come back with an immediate return that says forwarded to the state. You don't need to, you can release the funds. And then there's a third option for contact the state agency on very rare times. Yeah. So this slide just covers what I was talking about, receiving those results for the Social Security number entered immediately or the next business day if you're uploading a file. And there's the arrearages that I was talking about. So it'll say no match, match, or contact state. Contact state is going to happen very rarely, but on those instances, you would just need to contact someone in the state agency of wherever you're reporting the lump sum to and find out more information about the case. Another application on the portal is reporting terminations. So you can send those termination notifications to state agencies. You don't need to notify 3 different state agencies. You can just upload a spreadsheet, or you can do it one by one, and the information will go to the state agency that is enforcing the case. And another application that we just launched is Communication Center. So a lot of people have been talking about sharing sensitive information back and forth. The Communication Center was designed and recently launched on the portal as a way to kind of improve communication methods and standards between employers and state agencies. So the Communication Center is a really cool tool for employers to be able to share sensitive information on a secure environment without having to worry about those email and social security numbers or things like that, or using a secure email. Because we are in a secure environment, anytime you access the portal, any information that is shared there stays in the portal and is secure. So you can exchange sensitive information, and you can contact multiple state agencies at once, and it will go to the correct person in the state agency to provide a response to you. So Communication Center is just a secure method of sending information to state agencies and possibly having the state agency contact you through this as well. So if you want to share income withholding order, this is a great way to do so. So here's a list of communication topics. So what you would do is you would write a message, attach whatever you needed to attach to it, and you would tag it with one of these topics. And then depending on what the topic is, it would change where in the state it's going. So if you have a lump sum, and you need to share sensitive information about it, and you need to send it to New York, you would tag it with that lump sum communication topic, and it would go to the person in New York or team in New York who is handling lump sum inquiries. And you could do that with multiple states. So if you wanted to talk to New York and Maryland about one order, you could hit both states. When the presentation goes out, those are all links that you can click on if you want more information. But here is our contact information. If you hit any of these mailboxes, it will go to someone on our team, and we'd be happy to assist you.